All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a Friday. It's gorgeous out, and there's a lot to talk about here at News 10. I'm joined by Tim Staudt from News 10 Sports. How are you? I know you're looking over my notes pretty in depth there, but there's a
Well,
lot
I
to
don't know
talk
about Sunday's weather for anything going on, but today and tomorrow it'll be fine. So the football game or the football practice in Spartan Stadium should not be able to blame a low crowd on bad weather. But there's a lot going on campus tomorrow. A lot.
Yeah. Well, and is this their first for baseball and softball at Michigan State? Is this their first time back at home since the washout that they had to move to Jackson Field for?
No, they've been back earlier.
Okay. So we do have that coming up. But first, the big story that you had today on the radio show is Tank Brown is being has been dismissed from the Michigan State football team due to his involvement with gun charges.
Well, he was dismissed before spring practice,
Right.
but the only reason it got out was because he was at a court appearance today, and so he was identified as a now former Michigan State football player. He was one of the 6 who was involved in the incident in Ann Arbor on October 29th. And one of the other players who swung the helmet, Kari Crump, he's still suspended by the Michigan State team, but he's not off the team. This Brown, who transferred in from Minnesota, he only played 12 games in 2 seasons. So
He's number 10 there, correct?
I don't know what number it
Right
looks
there.
like. It
Yeah.
says what, Brown
19,
on there.
sorry.
So, yeah.
So what does this have? What impact does this have on the culture of the team moving forward? This statement from the team that he's been dismissed.
He's been gone for, all of spring practice. The rest of those guys got their own problems trying to make the team and so on and so forth. I think most of this stuff is in the rearview mirror. The players on probation legally, they got to watch their behavior, obviously. I mean, if they want to play for Michigan State on probation, they're going to have to toe the line, all right? This guy didn't. He has far more serious issues to deal with gun charges. There's felony issues there on that.
Yeah.
So rather than just keep, trying to resuscitate him, they've just cut him loose. And it's what happens if you don't do what you're told, if you don't behave, you don't
It's
mature, and you don't toe the line. He didn't.
We're going to move on to the Michigan State baseball. You were wondering why they're playing Western Illinois, and I heard you got the answer for that today.
Well, there's 13 Big Ten teams. Somebody gets a bye week. This is State's bye week. They have Western Illinois, and they've changed the schedule. It'll be one game tonight at 6 and a doubleheader tomorrow, a split doubleheader, 11:30 and 3:30. That way people can wander over
That's
to the
good.
football stadium if they want to. So it's a 3-game series, so 1 tonight, 2 tomorrow. Sunday they decided not to fight the weather, so they're going to play 2 tomorrow.
All right, and then softball is playing another Big Ten team in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yesterday we talked about MSU gymnastics with Delaney Harkness and Gabrielle Stephen in Fort Worth.
Fort Worth.
Yep. So what we have actually is the result. I have that Delaney right here, she finished second to Ohio State's Alexis Edwards on the floor routine. Harkness had 9.875 and Ohio State's Edwards had 9.9375. So fairly close in that one. I do have listed over here on the results page that Delaney Harkness is not listed as a winner, so I don't believe she is advancing. But
So we don't know that as a fact.
I'm pretty sure not, because the top 2 teams are advancing and
Well, they're
only
there as
one
an-
individual.
They're only there as an individual.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything, believe me. Asking me something about college gymnastics, you can educate me, believe me.
I got you. I'll take care of that one for you a little bit later. But yeah, the top 2 team competitions, they advance. So I believe it was like LSU, Oklahoma, the usuals when it comes to college gymnastics, but Michigan actually has a pretty good representation. The University of Michigan sent a couple players, and they have advanced in a couple, including on the bars, they tied with Alabama, who is a very good program. So that's what we have for the national gymnastics. Also today, it came out that Hunter Dickinson is planning to travel to Kansas sometime late next week for a visit. Thoughts on that, Tim?
Well, that's the first I've heard of him looking anywhere other than near his hometown of either Georgetown or Maryland. And I heard Michigan could be back in play for him. But until he decides what it's going to be, you can speculate all you want.
Okay.
If he ends up at Kansas, he better play well because, what I look at Kansas, if they want him, they're going to have to pay him. And he was making some money at Michigan. And whether money alone is influencing or motivating him, I don't know.
I know that a lot of people were expecting Maryland to be the main one everybody was hearing, but like you said, nobody's really heard Kansas in the mix. But again, it is going to be an official visit, so that's one thing we're going to be keeping our eye on is what happens from that. But I believe it's going to be like Thursday or Friday, so there's still a good amount of time before that happens. Tigers finally snapped their losing streak last night in Toronto. However, it came despite a pretty significant blunder from Javier Baez. Did you see that?
Well, he makes $140 million.
He does.
So they expect more from that. I think you had a frustrated manager. They had lost 6 straight. They were 2-9. He set an example and pulled him out. I mean, he didn't run out a double, although he got the double, and then he lost count of the outs and got doubled off second base on a fly ball, so he just took him out of the game. And what he said to him in the tunnel, I have no idea.
But
afterward, everybody, said, hey, it's understandable. Everybody's got to toe the line, no matter if you're a rookie or a veteran. He's a veteran. They need him to play well. So I guess that's he benched Eric Haas last night, and he benched one of those Veerling. He benched an outfielder too, because those guys. I mean, look, if you watch them run the bases, you wonder if they even know the rules anymore.
Yeah.
So they're home tonight to play San Francisco 1-3. They'll have a good crowd. They're back home, and the weather's tremendous. So that'll put people at Comerica Park.
Do you think it's how important it is for that statement to be made this early in the season?
Well, they don't have a lot of wiggle room for error with
Yeah.
the roster they have. They can't afford. I mean, they need everybody playing as hard as they can, and they weren't doing that. And I think you had a frustrated manager. I mean, they've given away some of those games that they've lost. They're 3-9 now. That's all they are. There's 150 games to go. If nothing else,
Yep.
they expect. I mean, if I'm paying a guy $140 million, the least he can do is play hard. And
Yeah.
he admitted that, so we'll see what happens.
He did admit to his
I don't
mistake.
think he's worth nearly $140 million as a player to begin with, but that's what the going rate is for somebody with his experience, I guess.
Sure. And he's, I believe, one of the most popular players in the fan base right now, so, in my opinion. But I do know that he did admit to his mistake, and he said it was because he was in a different part of the lineup, and he just got confused.
Well, it'd be hard to argue it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's obvious.
You only get 3 outs. At least you can do is remember how many they got.
Really quick, we talked about the Lugnuts playing this weekend. Great weather for that.
Saturday, great weather.
Yeah.
Sunday, it's going to be a
Sunday,
fight.
not so much. So they're doing pretty well. I do want to show, this is a pretty cool fact. All 3 Hughes brothers had points last night in the NHL. That is pretty cool.
Which
You gotta
one's
admit.
Luke, the Michigan guy?
I believe he's in the middle.
Well, that's his first NHL point
Yep.
for the Devils, right?
The Devils in overtime.
Yep.
So, and I believe it was the game winner. But that's a pretty cool thing to have.
Good for him.
Yeah.
They drafted him high. They signed him. They hope he's a star.
The Devils are good this year. So, all right, what do we have coming up a little bit later today?
Well,
I know
you'll see Ryan Anderson,
yep.
the DeWitt punter, who's signed with the Bears, reports there Monday. We'll preview tomorrow's spring football practice to some degree. And Miles Bridges, the former Spartans, got a 30-game suspension from the NBA. He gets credit for 20 games served. It's like a prison sentence because of his domestic abuse issues. So he only has to sit out the first 10 games next season with whoever he ends up playing for, whether it's Charlotte or someone else. Mm-hmm. That's not determined yet.
And obviously that's going to have an impact on who he signs with.
He's a restricted free agent, so Charlotte can keep him if they match. Now, I have no idea what the rest of the NBA thinks of him at this point, so we'll find out.
We do have...
he won't play the first 10 games, that's for sure.
No matter where he's at.
No matter where.
We do have more on that case from the very beginning on our website, WILX.com. And
Joey's in for the 11.
Joey's in.
So he'll be in for the 11.
He's going to be here. I saw him. He's pumped to be here with all of
Tigers,
us.
Michigan State, Lugnuts highlights, all that and more at 11 tonight.
Sounds like good summer stuff. All right, well, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you later. Thanks for tuning in.